Today we're wrapping up our Cannon Beach workshop. It has been an awesome trip with a great crew of people. We'll show you some sights and sounds of the North Oregon coast and talk about a couple lessons learned. Well, hey everyone, it's Hudson and I got Rick LePage with me here. We're in Cannon Beach. There might be a little bit of wave and traffic noise in our background, but you know, it's a beautiful location. On top of our rental house, we got this big roof and we've had beautiful views early in the morning from here with the whole workshop group. It's been a great group of people.
It's been a really great group of people.
Very talented photographers. A lot of people have been sort of practicing some new things, whether it's doing some move Milky Way captures and composite night work, or working with long exposure and neutral density filters. It's been really, really fun. We've had some variable conditions, from fog to clear night skies to beautiful backlit sunsets, you know, that only the coast can throw at you, like the Oregon coast with the rocks. And
we've had to adapt.
We've had to adapt a little bit. So why don't we'll look at some of our images, some of our workshop participants' images, show you a few sights and sounds from the Oregon coast. We've been running around with our little DJI Pocket 3 gimbal, which is kind of amazing, the Osmo Pocket 3. And we'll share a little bit of what this workshop has been like behind the scenes, and then we'll talk about a couple things we learned and a couple favorite moments.
Take your ISO down.
So yeah, I think you can tell we've had a pretty amazing time on this trip and been with a fun group of people.
Yeah.
We had to shift and adapt multiple times on this workshop. Whenever we run a workshop and we put out the schedule, we always call it tentative course schedule. And that's because conditions change. We're out here photographing with natural light. The first day of this workshop, we had clear skies, a little bit of haze. There was a bit of haze out there, but relatively clear skies, and we knew it was going to be the best possible night based on the weather forecast for the Milky Way.
Right.
It heated up inland. We had this weird September heat wave inland on the other side of the coast range, and that tends to suck fog into the Oregon coast, and that was coming, so we knew, well, let's get the Milky Way while we can. And even though we had a bunch of people from the East Coast, we kept them up late.
We did. That first day was a long day.
It was a long day. We did a beautiful sunset. We talked about capturing a foreground for Milky Way composites. We stayed out till blue hour, shifted into the van. We made sure everybody had dinner before we went out.
That's right.
Shifted into the van, hauled butt down to a less well-lit location, and photographed the Milky Way with Move, Shoot, Move. One of our participants was working with stacking. Everybody else used Move, Shoot, Move. And I think that was my favorite part of the workshop, was just how excited and joyful a lot of the participants were at capturing a crisp, clear Milky Way, using the right optics, using the right tools, having the camera move with the Earth's rotation, lining up with the lasers. People loved it. And we had a really, really good time out there. What was your favorite?
My favorite was the day we went up to the wreck of the Peter Iredale.
The shipwreck.
The shipwreck. And we weren't sure what the conditions were going to be like. It was not great down here.
Right.
But it's one of those things, if you don't go, you're not going to know what it's like.
Well, and everyone wants to see the shipwreck.
Right. So we went there. We had some fun.
Mm-hmm.
People would, there was a bunch of people shooting to do.
There was some very interesting people shooting. I thought the people photography was my favorite part. Well, and the macro photography.
Yes.
It's this rotting, 100-year-old shipwreck with all the rust and the rivets. And a lot of people did some pretty cool macro work.
Yeah. And we had been thinking we might stay there. That would be the shoot.
Yeah, maybe blue hour.
Right.
But it was a pretty blah. Well, our workshop participant, Amy, who's pretty handy with Photoshop, actually created a storm.
Yes.
And lighting. I was pretty proud of the shot that she created. But, the rest of us, it was a pretty bland scene.
Yeah.
And we said, speaking of Amy.
Yeah, Amy was like, well, let's go up and shoot the bridge in Astoria.
Right.
And so we trekked on up there. We got there before blue hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my favorite part. It was like we just turned on that dime.
Yep.
And it was so much fun to see people lined up along the boardwalk there.
Right.
Shooting different things.
They've got these old tracks that used to run through the industrial area along the water under the bridge. And like the New York on the High Line, they've kind of set it up like a pedestrian walkway along the river there leading towards and it's beautiful. And we photographed the bridge, and there are all the pylons, and a heron landed, and I was playing around with that. And then, Rick, you spotted the fact that the tracks were catching the city lights and creating this just wonderful scene roll.
And the fun thing about it is that I was doing that, and other people discovered it too. It wasn't like we were saying, go do this. It was like they were looking and saying, oh yeah, it's like taking that opportunity to look around you and see what else is going on and around you with, that you can capture with your camera.
Indeed. And I was playing around with that 51.0 Voigtlander, and that is the situation that lens is just made for. Those kind of noir night scenes, handheld, wide open, eerie. I had a ton of fun on that, and I think it's a good lesson to everyone not to become too fixated on what your plan is. When life throws you lemons, find a way to photographically create some lemonade. We've had and the other thing we did was shifting when we had the foggy morning, and instead of just going down to the beach to work with rocks and long exposure, heading into the woods and the short sand stream, going down to short sand beach. And it's so fun to see a group of people put loose with some instruction into an area. And we're always rolling around helping people with questions, but everybody has their own creative vision. And when we get together to do the image reviews every day, they're always different.
Yeah, and I think that's the most fun part of the workshop for everybody.
It is.
We wear them out a lot of times, but when we get together every day to sort of show the images that everyone else did, it's like it's like a cheering section. It's wonderful.
Well, and you learn so much from I never even thought
Yeah.
to photograph that. I noticed it, but I didn't see a photo there. And you know what? Carl saw a photo there.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's super, super fun. So, been a great trip.
Yep.
We are going to wrap it up with a sunset shoot of Haystack Rock, which is the iconic big rock back between Rick and I here in Cannon Beach.
If it's still between us.
Huh?
Nothing.
It should still be fun. And we will have a great group dinner at the Pelican Brewery.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
And then we'll head on home and get ready for our European sojourn.
That's right. We are going to spend a significant amount of time in Italy and Scotland. I'll be in Switzerland a little bit before that.
Yep.
And I can't wait. We'll take you along on those adventures as well. All right. So thanks everybody for watching, for sharing, for subscribing. We're having a great time rolling around photographing. I hope that you are too. If you have any questions or comments, hit us in the comments section, email us. We're always happy to talk anything photographic. And we'll see you next week.